Welcome to Community Cafe, where strangers become new friends. New friends become old friends, and old friends become family. Please join our table or take a seat at the counter. We're glad you came. Well, hi again. Another special opportunity for us at Society Bites Radio, and I am your host, Kate O'Neill. Today we're going to welcome Barbara Huntoon. She is a woman of many talents, but at this point, she's showcasing her husband's talents. And we welcome Barbara to the show. Barbara?
Thank you, Kate. Thank you for having me. I'm very happy to be here.
Tell us a little bit about your husband and what kind of an artist was he?
Well, Rex he was born and raised at Grand Canyon, and he was raised traditionally. And as a young man, he knew he wanted to be an artist. He wanted to go out into the world, and he's had an extraordinary life. And it was foretold by his grandfathers that he would be out here teaching. And when he was a young man in his teens, he was placed through Bureau of Indian Affairs into a program so he could find education. And he decided to become a barber. He had an uncle that was a barber. So he said, I think I'll try that. And he told this funny story where he actually took a string and a push pin and a map. And he took the string and the push pin and he measured where the closest place was to the East Coast, the West Coast, and home. And that ended up being Cleveland. So he chose to go to Cleveland. And he was trained as a hair designer, but he excelled at it and he loved it. His artistry he brought into the work, not only as a hair designer, but a makeup artist and a fashion designer. He was a ghost designer for Calvin Klein. He had made it up to the top of his game, teaching the professionals. And it was the early 90s when he made the decision to go full-time as an artist. He had been painting the whole time, and even back to the Tuba City boarding school yearbooks, when we had the opportunity to look through there, we saw images that they had put in there when he was 8, 9 years old. So it was very evident he was moving into the world of an artist. And from his hair salon, he would paint between his clients, and extraordinary work. So the beginning of his work is really showcased at the event and the exhibit in 1988. Mm-hmm. And through the course of his career, he created over 400 pieces, close to 500 pieces of art. So his world was very much about hair, fashion, and design and art, and he walked out of that business at the top of his game just to go into the art. And the artwork was really a medium and a vehicle for him to share the traditional stories, history, environmental teachings of his people. His grandfathers were traditional medicine people. So he took that path, and he ended up landing in Sarasota in the early 90s. He left Cleveland and that area of the country and decided he was going to come to Sarasota. And he loved Ringling. He loved the vibe here, and that's really what pulled him here. So when he anchored in Sarasota, again, he traveled. We met in 1998, and we would average about 46 to 48 powwows, fine art shows, Indian markets a year. So it was a very busy life for him, and he was on the move all the time. And when I came together with him, that's what we did for 15 years. We covered all of the East Coast of the United States and part of the Southwest, selling his art. And he trained me. I was taught to teach the stories and to interpret the artwork for him. And over the course of the years, he also trained me on printing, matting, framing, and the craft. And we were together 15 years. His extraordinary work has been in guardianship with me. I'm keeping everything prepared now for the gallery all these years. It's been 5.5 years since his passing, and little by little, piece by piece, I've been building the puzzle and getting everything in place and everything aligned this year. So I'm about to open up a Native American gallery. Rex, he left us the end of 2013. He had a heart attack and he passed on. So for the last 5.5 years, I've been preparing for this. And it's now time. Everything has come together. And I was extended this extraordinary opportunity to bring Rex's art collection to Art Ovation. And we installed in June. We'll be there till September 5. And I brought 40 of his pieces out for the public. And in the meantime, we are also working to renovate and open a gallery right down the road. So that's very exciting. I'm so thrilled to be able to bring this forward and see it blossom now. There's been so much time that's gone on, and I thought it would happen by now, but everything in its time, everything aligned exactly when and how it was supposed to. So here it is. So tonight we're having a celebration concert. It's at Art Ovation in the ballroom, and we're there to celebrate Rex's legacy, his life, and everything that is about to happen, to bring to Sarasota a pillar, so to speak, of the Native American art, culture, medicine, and history.
Describe some of the artwork for us.
Well, a lot of the work, the earlier pieces, Rex was very much aligned with the rug weaving. His mother and grandmothers were weavers, and a lot of the earlier pieces are the sand tones and a lot of the rug patterns. He found early that people responded more to the face of a beautiful woman instead of a circle when he was talking about the earth. So it became part of his theme. When you see a woman's face, it represents the beauty of Mother Earth. And there's many faces. And all those years of doing makeup and fashion and hair, you will see the beautiful energy that and emotion that you'll see in the eyes and the way he presents the women. And he never used models. It was just out of his heart and his head and his mind. And he was never schooled for art either. It was just something that he was born with.
Now, I grew up in a household where I knew that I was Cherokee and Apache. What was Rex's background?
Well, Rex was born at the South Rim, Grand Canyon, and he comes from many, 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 many generations of family there, way back, way back. His family are herders and artists, and his grandfathers were both traditional medicine people, so he was raised with the traditions. And he was foretold by his grandfathers that he would be coming to what was called the soft throat of the eagle. And he was a young boy. I actually have this on film of his story about this. And I'm also doing a documentary about Rex's life. This will be a part of it, where he was a young boy and his grandfathers foretold that he would be at this soft throat of the eagle. He did not understand what that meant until he was an adult. And he realized that the soft throat of the eagle is Sarasota. If you look at the map and you see the head of the eagle is Florida, the wings run up the east and Gulf Coast. And at the base of the eagle's head, at the throat, is where Sarasota lies. And is a really interesting story that I will share in the film about that, Rex explaining this. And so that's why he came here. He felt it was destiny. He recognized that Sarasota was a place that he wanted to present his work. And over the years, his style, his colors, his themes, they continue to evolve and change. And he incorporated a lot of different tribal stories, like the Apache and the Lakota and the Hopi. And the last year of his life, he did 6 of the 8 Seminole clans. So it's quite a collection, and it's an extraordinary body of work that holds a lot of information, a lot of history, and a lot of truth of the history, not only of recent history, but his work actually goes back to the beginning of time and beyond, from our time when we came to the planet, and it goes to the future as well. So it's really extraordinary.
Being a huge fan of Ancient Aliens, of course, I watch a lot of things about the Hopi Indians and the Navajo and the Star People. It's all a very fascinating story. But somehow I always felt like the Indians knew something we didn't.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
So his artwork is probably very reflective of that. Now, with the artwork that you're showing over at the Art Ovation, will there be pieces for sale, or is it just an exhibit?
The entire exhibit is for sale, with the exception of one piece, which was one of his collectors who donated a piece. And that's one of the most extraordinary pieces in the collection. It's one of his grid work pieces. And that ties into what you had just spoken about the environment, about the future, about the past, about the star connections. It's all woven through the art as well. So the entire exhibit is for sale, and each piece is focused on education. And we will be doing a tour this evening at 7 and 9:30 for anyone who wants to hear some of these stories. We will also have some other things from Rex's collection in T-shirts as well at the Art Ovations. But the entire collection exceeds 400 pieces, and he trained me how to do matting and framing and so forth. So I'm now trying to preserve some of his craft in mat cutting. He was a master mat cutter, and he worked a lot with different patterns, different rug patterns. And I actually went through the collection and found images of his earlier hand-cut mat pieces, and I've begun training myself to cut them now. So I'm also able to keep that part of the legacy going. You'll see quite a few pieces in the collection of the mat work that I'm doing for his work as well. So
now, with the pictures that you emailed me, these were taken by Robert Mirabal?
Oh, yes. Okay, so
Mirabal.
Our concert tonight, Robert Mirabal is our guest artist, and Robert is an old friend of Rex's, and we've known him for many years on the road. We're always crossing paths on the powwow circuit, so to speak, and I asked Robert to come to help us celebrate. So
I wonder, because he looks very familiar.
Yes, Robert Mirabal is one of the most recognizable Native American musicians, artists, speakers, educators. He's from Taos Pueblo, New Mexico, and he still lives there as a blue corn farmer. And he also travels the world through his art, which is music, dance, cultural entertainment with dance and so forth. But really, he's a speaker. He represents the traditions and the consciousness of his people. He's also part of the Pueblo, so he also is one of the elders and is growing.
And he'll be playing tonight?
He will be collaborating with our local band, Bird Tribe Band, the Bird Tribe Band, who are extraordinary musicians. And when Robert came to the Sarasota Native American Indian Festival last January, they met and felt a connection musically. So this is also an opportunity for Robert and Bird Tribe Band to come together and create some music. So we're looking forward to that. And tonight is going to be a surprise for everyone because we don't know what they're doing. They've been hanging out in the studio for the last couple of days, and it's going to be really special. I feel very honored that they're here to represent the collection and Rex, the exhibit and Rex's celebration and legacy.
Oh, that's wonderful. Wonderful. Now, I also read that you are starting the first feather gallery. Did I say that correctly?
Correct.
Tell us about the gallery.
First Feather Gallery was an idea many years ago of Rex and I. Not First Feather, but the concept of the gallery. And we talked about it for years. And we used to have an awesome Native American gallery here for 20 years, Santa Fe Trails. And Beth Segretti, she was our representative for many years here with all the Native art. And after her retiring, we really haven't had anything here. So after his passing, I really felt, I knew someday it would happen. And everything aligned. 2 years ago, I actually found a place that is in the warehouse district on Central, which I have a loft apartment, and then we have the studio as well for